Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Xayah supplementary guide with the build up on screen as you guys can see, and we're going to be basically substituting out Magnetic Blaster with IE. Now I'm not going to waste too much time just going through all the individual items of the build, or nor the runes and the spells, basically because at this point I think we're like 3 days away from the new patch, so the builds are likely to change most likely. Of course, I'm not actually very sure if the builds will change, but anyways, this is not really Xayah's main build. She normally will go for Blaster just for more attack speed, and I've basically talked about this quite a number of times already. But basically, the main change, or main difference, I should say, between IE and Blaster is IE gives you no attack speed, but just more damage, which means more damage on every auto attack but less auto attacks total, whereas Blaster gives you more auto attacks total but gives you less damage. However, if you actually test it out in the practice tool, it doesn't actually even give you that much less damage. That's the kind of confounding factor here, which is that IE makes you hit harder, but since Blaster makes you hit faster, plus giving you that Storm Razor passive, as well as that bonus range, as well as that static shift passive, actually leads to a scenario where the Blaster damage is mostly comparable to IE, which is why people will generally drop IE for Blaster if you're a champion that benefits from attack speed. So champions like that are especially champions like Tristana, Xayah, or Sivir, like basically because of course Xayah gets out more feathers with attack speed like you see here, and of course Tristana gets the bomb charge faster with attack speed, and Sivir gets out more boomerangs with more attack speed. So basically, if you are a champion that benefits from more attack speed, then Blaster is almost always going to be better than IE. Now, of course, there are still instances where IE is better, because even though you can get out more feathers more quickly, and you can, of course, auto attack a lot faster, there are some cases where just the pure raw damage of your auto attacks are gonna matter. Like for example, in those very close fights where an assassin jumps on you and it's who can burst the other faster, of course the raw damage of IE is going to be very useful. So definitely there is a place for IE in the build, although I wouldn't say you want to go for it very often. So here in this game, I decided to pick Xayah just because there's so many enemy threats that you kind of want to ult, right? Like you have the Diana ult, Talon just jumping in, and of course Alistar as well. So essentially, it is a situation where Xayah is very useful. Now, there is an argument that if there are too many threats, Xayah isn't that useful because you can really only ult one thing, right? Like if I ult Diana's ult, Alistar can combo me and Talon can kill me, you know, situations like that as we execute a very successful dive. And Talon is probably going to get redove. Doesn't look like it though because we're all kind of low HP. Trying to get that last plate. But yeah, so you do have a lot of threats on the enemy team to avoid with your ulti, but I would say that the best time to play Xayah is when there are champions who want to kind of go in on you. And of course the best champions like are bruisers, right? Because bruisers kind of don't really do a lot to Kaisa or some tanks, right? Like so for example, if you have like a Darius or a Mundo kind of just running at you, most of the time they cannot really catch up to you and you can kite them out pretty easily, especially if you have Ghost, right? Whereas the probably second best are Assassins, because Assassins can still kind of one-shot you and you do need to play around with your ult properly in order to avoid their damage and then proceed to kill them, or at least, you know, not die, right? So definitely there are many scenarios where Xayah is good and kind of not so good. Now I think in this lane Xayah is kind of insane because you have Alistar, who's someone who wants to go in on you, and you can easily just get a root on him. And at the same time you have Kalista, who doesn't really have range, right? So it's quite not that difficult to play the lane because Kalista cannot really reach you most of the time. Alistar either has to get poked by you or has to all in, like what you see there. He got poked, he decided to all in, but Kalista's not in a position to follow up, so he just ends up taking a lot of poke, and Kalista cannot really do anything much to kind of stop us, right? So yeah, here Diana's coming in. I popped the ulti. Honestly, I didn't need to ult there until I saw Diana's ult, but it's just kind of like reflex when like assassin jumps in on you, you ult, right? Because you kind of want to uh you kind of don't want to be caught in a situation where you die with your ult because you didn't use it. So I think it's kind of more common to just instantly pop the ult, which is kind of what I did there. But Diana did very well in baiting out my ult and not ulting herself. Honestly, she could have ulted there after I ulted and I might have been in trouble. But in the other scenario, which is this, she forced my ult, and I don't have my ult for that safety anymore. So Kalista and Alistar have a lot more threat, simply because now if Alistar goes in, I don't have my ult to kind of disengage. And of course, Kalista and Alistar both still have their ults. Now, Fizz here is looking for a dive. I'm trying to push the wave in as quickly as I can. However, Fizz misses his ulti, so don't really think the dive is going to happen. So we're just going to reset instead and go pick up our Bloodthirster. There we go. So inexplicably, Kalista actually has like 3 kills in total. Of course, it has been a pretty action-packed game. I'm 2-1 and 3 myself, still up on goal against Kalista, but Kalista is definitely in a very good spot. She has the most goal on her team, and the second most goal in the game, just slightly behind me. So she's in actually a very good spot, despite it not really appearing that way. Like, we haven't really been getting destroyed by her or anything like that, but she definitely is in a good spot, right? She backs and picks up the Bork just as objectives are spawning. Akali is pinging for the dragon, I believe, and Fizz is coming, but we do know Diana is kind of in that area as well. So they are doing the dragon. Fizz is coming, so we don't want to go in too early because we don't want to get into a fight before Fizz is arriving. Fizz is now here. Nami hits a 2-man wave into a 2-man bubble, which does give us the ability to steal the dragon, and Kalista and Alistar are kind of going in. Akali kills Talon and joins the fight. Afterwards, Kalista now in trouble, getting run down by the Fizz. Stuck on 1 HP, eventually does end up dying to me. Alistar, pretty low HP himself under tower. It should be a pretty simple dive. Now, I believe I got the aggro because I had red buff on Alistar, so when I walked in, I instantly started taking aggro, even though I did not auto-attack it, which confused me a little bit at the time, but it occurred to me right after that it must have been the red buff damage that that caused me to take the aggro. But either which way, a very successful dragon fight, securing the dragon, and into a very successful um, fight, I guess, in general, right? We get the kills, we get the objectives, and now we're even going to go contest the other objective. Now, I'm not sure why Fizz is wasting time doing his blue buff when he should be contesting the Diana. Now, Diana is kind of stuck in no man's land. She was just trying to solo the objective, but none of her team was helping her, so we just basically walk in as a 3-man unit. She has to flash out because she is going to die, and I don't even think she can secure the Herald and die, so she made the right decision there to just flash out. And in the meantime, we're using the Herald to secure the mid lane tower. Kalista is getting the bottom lane tower, or trying to get the bottom lane tower, I should say. But now we're going for a 4-man collapse on her. She must know that we're coming because she's seen us leave mid lane. And here my team is going for Kalista. I realized that you probably don't need like 4 people to kill one Kalista. So I decided to, instead of trying to go for an assist or a kill, I just decide to veer off to the side and simply just go for farm. So here we push in the mid lane. Obviously, this is kind of the mid game uh, portion of the game where basically no objectives are up just yet. You're kind of waiting for Baron to come up, and basically your job here is just to get as much farm as possible, hit your item power spikes, you know, if you can, before the next objective. So we're just farming the wolves, trying to get towards our Navori Quick Blade, which we are very close to, and we're going to be able to acquire now. So at this point, my team in general is doing pretty well. Fizz has the most goal in the game, followed by me, so we are in a very good spot. And literally every single lane has a goal lead against their counterpart. So this, for now, it appears to be a pretty, pretty straightforward game where one team is kind of winning in every position. But of course, you can see by the length of the game that this ends up becoming a pretty long game. So it is going to be pretty interesting of a game. So now I'm simply going to take this tower because there somehow is no one defending it. Now, initially I was a bit hesitant because I was thinking the enemy team is probably going to defend that tower, but literally no one does. So I just walk up and get the tower, and like 3-4 people show up after I've already gotten the tower, which is too little too late. Now there is a wave that's accumulating in the bot lane, so I kind of want to go over there to farm it. Diana is pushing it in. At this point, I'm not too scared of Diana. She only has one completed item, and I should be able to use my ult to make sure I'm in a situation where she can't kill me. So I'm just going to go down and farm. Now Diana goes in and ults nobody, tries to go in on Nami, but it doesn't quite work out for her. So no Diana ult for the dragon fight that's coming, I believe. Unless the fight lasts pretty long, in which case her ult is going to come back up midway through the fight. So here I'm going to quickly reset right before the dragon and get a BF sword, which is a significant buy because it's 40 AD, which is really a ton of AD. So with 5 seconds left on the clock for dragon spawning, we're gonna head over to that area and clear out the vision first, of course. Everybody's kind of in the area except Kalista, who is going for a cross-map play in trying to get that top lane objective bounty. Diana tries to go in, I assume to ult 5 people, but she is not able to get her ult off because Set CCs her with his ulti, and basically she gets chain CC'd and dies. Kalista, of course, just committing to pushing, seeing as all 5 of us are here, and we're going to be able to secure the dragon, of course, without any issue because the enemy team cannot really contest 4v5, and in fact, their jungler dies. So this is an opportunity to even go for Baron. So we're going to do the classic transition of Dragon straight into Baron with the enemy jungle only just respawning. Now we do have to kind of do it a little bit quickly though, because of course the enemy team probably knows and is coming to contest. There's the enemy ward into the pit. Baron's getting low, and we have Akali and Nami just zoning people off the Baron on the other side of the wall, so no real big threat there, I would say. So we secure the Baron, but of course this is at the cost of, this time it's Kale split pushing the other side, and we're gonna probably lose the other outer tower, or maybe not, because Fizz and Akali are able to save it, but only just barely. So in the meantime, with the Baron buff, we're just going to continue pushing. Now we don't really need to back because we can't really buy the IE just yet, and backing for like a cloak is not really worth the tempo in most instances. So here I'm just basically putting pressure in the mid lane, and hopefully my team is able to push some of the other lane. Set is going up to push the top lane already, and the bot lane is pushing in just because of course they are Baron buffed minions. So we want to ideally take like 1-2 towers at least from the Baron push. But of course, because you can see my team is not really pushing very hard, so I'm trying to see if I can take any jungle camps instead, because the Baron is not being very useful at the moment, right? So here, we're going to push down the outer tower. Nami's getting caught by Diana, so here I'm just trying to DPS whoever is nearby. Alistar combos me, but there's no threat because there's no one actually on me. So Kalista gets caught by the Fizz ult, which pushes Alistar back into danger. We get the kill onto Alistar. Kale now goes with the ult flash into safety, but is not able to actually get to safety. We kill everybody except the Talon, who's the last person left alive. He gets bubbled by Nami, and we're just going to run him down under the tower because we're full health. And we did have to use the Bloodthirster shield for that, so Bloodthirster shield did pop. But we're able to ace the enemy team, and with that, even though the Baron has run out, with that successful team fight, we should be able to push in 1-2 towers, like I said. So we do get the top tier 1, they're pushing in the mid, so at the same time we're going to just push in top. Because the enemy team is probably going to respond to the mid lane inhibitor, which is the more pressing concern in terms of distance especially. So myself and Nami able to get a free top lane tier 2, and we're going to just base right after that. So here I finally have enough to pick up my IE, and of course I still got a little bit of spare gold, I believe, so I'm going to get the Executioner's Calling, just for that little bit of anti-heal. There we go, as well as the Last Whisper. So honestly there I was thinking of like getting a stasis or something, but I haven't really had issues actually trying to survive. I've simply not been under very big threat for the entire game. I didn't really see the need to go for a stasis, at least not at this juncture. So here a couple of enemy team members are in the top lane. My team is going to top to pick a fight. Diana flashes away from Akali. Akali is just chasing and running the Diana down. Meanwhile, Talon and Kale are kind of going to defend the mid lane. Now, the main issue here is that my team is going for kills, but they're not going for the wave. Like, you guys already saw that from this past play, as well as from that play where we 4-man collapsed on Kalista on the bot lane, that this team like literally only cares about kills, right? Which is very common in the game, of course, but there's completely no focus on pushing in the waves or trying to get objectives, right? So when they actually get a kill, you can't actually get anything, because look at where the top wave is. Like, they killed Diana in the top lane, but the top wave is pushing against us, which doesn't really make sense if you think about it. Anyways, we're able to walk in and secure the mid lane inhibitor, and the Baron is alive. Dragon is spawning in 5 seconds, so objectives are coming up. We should not be here in the enemy, right outside the enemy base, trying to siege. We should just go back and get one of the objectives, if not both. Fizz decides to go in, and that's our jungler. Somehow he actually kills 2 people, and a huge fight breaks out in the enemy base. Kalista is going ham with a full stacked lethal tempo, and because we are no one is able to really focus her, she ends up killing all of us, right? I mean, to be fair, I think that there were 2 pressing concerns. Other than Kalista, it was Kale, so I was focusing Kale to try to kill her, because at this point it's a 3-item kill that's relatively fed. In fact, she's more fed than Kalista, but at the same time, either of them, either Kalista or Kale, if they're able to like free hit, it's kind of going to be a problem. Kalista's not really the best late game champion, as we all know, but she's definitely in a spot where she's pretty fed and can carry her team. So definitely Kalista and Kale are the 2 big problems. I mean, Diana and Talon, they're both assassins, but they're not really they're not really putting a very big threat onto to anybody to die. Of course, them just being there makes it a lot easier for their carries to be able to DPS, because we have to take note of like the assassin threats as well, right? So enemy team picks up the dragon, which of course means we cannot get the soul, but it's just ocean soul, so it doesn't really matter. However, as a result, they completely lose their tempo, because they're going to have to reset after they just kill all of us, and also after they've gotten the objective. So this actually allows us to just get the Baron while they're busy resetting, which is a very, very good macro play from my team. Thankfully, everybody was on the same page there and all decided to go to the Baron together. And as a result, now with the Baron, we can continue our push in. Now, of course, only the 2 side lane inhibitors are left, so we kind of want to go for those, but at the same time, you want to kind of keep mid pushed, because you also want them to kind of have to respond to mid, so you have an easier time getting the side lanes. So here, all 3 waves are actually relatively synced up, and this is really the golden scenario where all of the waves are kind of around the same area, so the enemy team have to kind of decide which wave they want to go for. Now, unfortunately, we clear wave a little bit too fast, so our wave actually goes in before the mid and bot wave. So we actually probably should have just waited a little bit instead of just shoving the wave in. Now Fizz loses his mind again. That's another, like, I mean, he did get a double kill last time, so I guess he's gotten like the 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 results bias. But here I basically just hitting first target, which happens to be Alistar. Now I'm like, oh no, it's Kale and it's Kalista again. So I'm trying to kill one or both of them. I try to flash forward to kill the Kalista, but she actually gets away. Kale also gets away somehow. So only Nami is now left alive, which is kind of awkward, because the 2 carries are now just going to chase her down. Of course, Kalista has insane chase potential, so there's no way Nami gets out. And Kalista picks up the kill. I'm starting to think, uh-oh, it's kind of going downhill, right? Like, Kale has scaled. Kalista does not scale that well, but is now in a position where she can actually carry. And now at this point, I'm full build with everything except Boot Enchantment, which of course is what I'm going to be going for next. But you can clearly see we're losing team fights, and when that kind of change happens where you start losing the team fights, you kind of start to realize you're in trouble. Now here Fizz is going for the Kalista, is able to one-shot the Kalista eventually, and that is very crucial because Elder Dragon is up. Now the only slight issue is that our jungler has just used his ult and his flash, so he's pretty vulnerable if anyone does anything. So enemy team has already started the Elder Dragon out. He's going over the wall, just going in. Now, here you can see Elder Dragon is stuck on 17 HP. I tried to get it, but Kale is able to auto-attack first, and the enemy team picks up the Elder Dragon. Now, Diana Hex Gates gets her crown removed by Akali. Thankfully, two members of the enemy, the two most important members of the enemy team are dead, which of course are Kale and Callista, and they both don't have Elder, crucially. However, now the assassins who have the Elder become pretty dangerous, right? Because even an assassin who's not doing well can one-shot you because of the Elder buff. Elder buff, of course, removes like 20% of your HP automatically, so there's definitely a pretty huge problem there. So in this game, we've also gone for Maw because, of course, you have Kale who's doing magic damage that is pretty fed, and you also have Diana who does burst magic damage, but I mean, she literally has 0 kills, but still, Maw is good against her. So, yeah, we decided to go for that. So here, Baron is now coming up. And of course, the slight issue with this is the fact that the enemy team has Elder buff for another minute. So here, we're just starting it out, just trying to call the enemy's bluff, and if you want to contest it, you're going to have to come here. Set is single-handedly distracting the entire enemy team. We secure the Baron without any issue, and the enemy team did not even come and contest. Now, Kale is trying to kill Set. However, Set just murders her, ults her into the wall, and just kills her. So now with the Baron buff, things change because even though the enemy team has Elder, all we have to do is keep on pushing. We don't necessarily have to fight them, although that's kind of what we're looking to do here. So of course we have to be very cautious that the enemy team has the Elder. Alistar trying to run forward, pops his ult, so he does. I'm having a full stack in the temple here. He is very tanky, so it's pretty difficult to kill him. Elder comes into play, and you can see now I'm trying to kite the best I can, trying to flash away, but you can see Diana with Elder ends up getting the kill on me. Eventually, I'm able to actually kill 2 people before the Elder takes my life. But everybody on the enemy team dies except Talon and Callista. And Callista survives on 1 HP again. I think this is like the 3rd time this game she survives on like literal 1 HP that you can't even see. Now, the problem, of course, with losing in the earlier stages of the game is that even when you start winning team fights and such, you're still going to have to defend super minions. You're still going to have to deal with all of the added pressure on your lanes. So it's definitely difficult. Now, Talon here just trying to push the mid wave all the way in, but of course my whole team is now respawning, so he's not going to be able to push any further. They're not going to be able to get any towers or anything, so especially against the Baron buff, it's so difficult to clear the wave. And here I've actually decided to change my Maw to a GA, because I'm realizing at this point that it's so late into the game that revive is going to come in really handy if I actually die. And of course armor is also pretty important in this game, because Callista of course is doing a significant amount of damage. So now my whole team is grouped up. We're just ARAMing it down mid, and if the enemy team doesn't defend, they're going to be in trouble. Right? So here I'm just clearing the wave. Inhibitor is back up, so we're going to try to get that inhibitor. Now here, Kill messes up, right? She pops the ulti for no reason, right? And that's a major goal sign because Kill ulti is such a huge spell because it just saves someone from death for like two seconds or so, and they don't have that anymore. So Alistar tries to go in on me. I ult, and of course here she doesn't have the ult anymore. She pops the stasis instead. Nice timing by Akali, gets rid of her. Alistar once again in the front line, tanking up a lot of damage with the gargoyles as well as the ulti. Set uses Alistar to smack him into the team with the ulti, which is exactly what he should have done a long time ago. And Talon and Alistar are the only 2 left defending the base. They're not going to be able to do it, and we're finally going to be able to end the game. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.